My name is Park. I am also an engineer and at Mechanical and Sustainable.
I'm Zach. I'm an engineer with Just Sustainable. And our problem that we were faced with is the case of the Ebola outbreak in West Africa, more specifically the case in Sierra Leone. And when you have to deal with Sierra Leone, it's a population of almost 6 million people in this country. However, only 40% of that, or right around 40%, is urbanized. So when you have to think about these clinics that we're going to have to build, you have to deal with that. Most of it is going to be in an unurbanized area. The three main parts of this are going to be a wooded area, the plateau region, and then the mountain region. So when we had to look at the power that we were going to get from the sun, we decided to pick the city of Kampala, which is up in the northeast of Sierra Leone. This is in the mountainous range, and we decided to pick this because the temperature variation was the highest out of all the cities that we found. And we thought doing the worst case scenario would be the best case for us when designing these clinics.
So water was the main thing that we looked at, and like Dr. Wunderlich was saying earlier, it's being pumped in by Engineers Without Borders, so we didn't have to worry about that specifically. But one of our tasks was to figure out how to get hot water into it. So we're using a similar tactic that some of the other groups use with collecting it through gutters and draining it down into a tank. And that tank would be black, which would then sit away from the building enough that it is completely surrounded by sunshine to maximize surface area. And ultimately, we also talked about using multiple water tanks that are smaller, because then it creates more surface area on the water, and it would make our water hotter in the end. And to get that back into the house, then we had to figure in for like a small water pump. So it might not be like extremely hot water, but we figured even just warm water would be better than something completely cold for washing hands and that type of thing. The second thing we looked at was electrical usage. We're provided with a 3 kilowatt system as shown on the south side of our building here. I figured 250 watt panels, so that'd be 12 panels to electric. That's what we got on our roof there. And so with 3 kilowatts, we had to minimize what we could power in this thing. So we went down to the bare essentials, and we have a 220 volt, 50 hertz water pump. That's for the hot water to get into the building. A small fridge for medical supplies, and 5 100 watt light bulbs. During the day, we'd like to use strictly sunlight if possible, but this is probably going to be a 24-hour type thing, so trying to have lighting at night would be nice. And then we also have figured in 5 outlets for smaller things such as laptop chargers and that type of thing, because we know we're going to have doctors coming in from the United States who will be bringing in technology that they don't necessarily have, but it'd be nice if they could use their laptops and stuff there.
As far as the actual building goes, it is actually part of an MSF Ebola clinic, which you can see in the bottom right corner there. For our actual building, we decided to build it on a 3-inch concrete slab. That, of course, is going to have to be hand mixed because it is in Africa and they don't have the tools that we do around here. As far as the brick actually goes, those are also handmade. They're mud bricks. We are going to make those on site so they are not broken on the way for transportation to the actual site. Our windows, from our research, we found that they do have double hung windows there. That's used for easy opening so we can ventilate the whole area. Our roof, we are going to use metal corrugated steel, and also if it is available in the area, we will use thatching to help keep the metal cool, because we do know metal gets really hot in the hot sun, which in this area can get up to 95 degrees. And yeah, we do have our 12 solar panels there, and rainwater collection was a requirement, so we did have a gutter system that is connected to our water tank there.
Another thing we're going to use for cooling is we have soffits the whole way around. That'll provide shade over your windows, so not as much direct sunlight in. And on top of that, it also will create ventilation. So if we put like a ridge cap type on we don't have a very large ridge on the top due to the being hipped on all the sides. But if you put like a ridge cap on that and then have the vent soffit through, that would allow for the house to breathe and grow.
For each room, we have our storage room here, which you can see if it gets closer that we have some shelving in there. In here, we have a consultation room where doctors can meet with family members to discuss what the members of their family have. We have the observation room and the sterilization room. One of the things that we wanted to focus on for the sterilization room, even though we are not going to have Ebola, there are a lot of other diseases that are out there in Africa. So we wanted to be able to clean and spray the whole room, and we do have a drain located there so we can get all of that outside of our building. And in the MSF Ebola clinic, there are incinerators to get rid of the biohazard waste, and we would just use that to eliminate that then also.
There's also a small shower head located in the corner. Figured if somebody, like doctors and whoever need a full shower, we have that available as well as a sink.
Then going off the medical stuff, we need to keep in mind that this is only a primary care facility. This isn't a hospital, this isn't treating for Ebola. So in this, you could take the bare essentials almost, where you get a refrigerator for the medicines that can be used to treat minor illnesses or even up to higher illnesses or worse illnesses. And then just your normal first aid, run-of-the-mill stuff. And so we don't really need to be thinking about.
We even thought about throwing the idea out of reaching out to hospitals around from the U.S. or from other areas that have old equipment that isn't up to our standard, but it would still work for their standards. If we could somehow get them to ship donations and that type of stuff, it could be useful in this case.
As long as it would run on the 3 kilowatt system, it would be nice to have, but for what we need, our essentials are.
And the way we understood our screening, then we didn't mention that outside, is screening for Ebola, and then if they do have Ebola, the way we understood it was they are being sent into another compound within the MSF compound, and then if they don't, then that's when they're sent into our primary care center.
And also our waiting room, like it was mentioned before, doubles as a physical therapy room. So we didn't want to have permanent things in there. We wanted it to be a multi-purpose room. So we have some chairs along the wall that could be moved out also. We didn't want to have permanent things in there. We wanted as much room as possible for physical therapy activities.
So, in this complex, is there an emergency, not Ebola, but is there emergency care facility? Because this says primary care, is there an emergency treatment center where emergencies would come in?
Urgent care.
Yeah, urgent care, where emergency, where those people end up
The
coming in.
client just asked for primary care. Well, the whole history of this is, students are doing wellness center for the course. 3 weeks ago, the client comes and wants to do this. And then a week and a half ago, they came and they said, okay, we're going to change a little bit of the specifications. I had told the students originally to put the primary care right in the corner of these Doctors Without Borders thing, but then we found out, okay, 17 of these, it's only primary care. Urgent care is not in there. They specified that. They said there are hospitals around somewhere, they would handle urgent care. So we have 3 different things, urgent care in hospitals and long-term stay. And then Ebola is somewhere else, 17 of those clinics, which we didn't know until a week and a half ago for Ebola. And then the original 15.
It kind of changes what you need to do.
Yeah, and the evolution of that, it's not the client's fault for changing the nature of the whole thing and the funding and help from outside. Sierra Leone changed over the last 3 weeks. So they did a great job of adapting. We have to applaud the whole class for stepping up.
What's the temperature variation in this most extreme sighting?
It was 75 to 95.
75 to 95.
So,
That was close.
when you talk about the windows, do they have glass in them, or are they just screened?
The ones we had looked at were double, like a double pane glass, I think.
I wonder if you even need glass.
Yeah, you could. There'd be different possibilities there.
I talked to Dr. Jagid about this too, and he was saying that you wouldn't want a big plate of glass. You just can't handle this thing. It's just not practical. it's very common in third world countries to have these louvered glass windows. You break one little piece, you can replace it, and then you can open them up all the way, you know. Okay.
I have a follow-up about the windows. In each of the designs that we've seen, the window placement is fairly conventional.
Mhm.
And I don't really know enough about ventilation to understand whether a more unconventional window placement would help. So like a higher window placement or a different
Yeah.
style. I know that you were given specifications, but I was just wondering if you
That's,
thought at all
yeah.
about the.
Location-wise, we pretty much stuck to the plan that they were giving out to us, just because we didn't know exactly if that's exactly what they had existing, or if they're
Right.
completely restructuring it or not. The changing of heights could definitely be affected, or changed. We didn't look too much into that, but definitely could be something affected.
I guess they don't have hiccup.